Welcome to episode 7 of On the Couch with Zeus. You know, couch co-op where you actually don't play. Today we're going to be looking at streaming consoles. With the new Xbox coming around the corner, Microsoft has already announced that one of their devices will be a streaming device, meaning there will be no discs involved with this console. You won't be able to insert a disc to play. Everything will be streamed over the internet. Now, streaming is something that's going to be coming up on the horizon that everybody's doing. As is right now, my household, we're 100% streaming. When the internet goes down here, we're not watching anything. But seriously, streaming is the future. You find that a lot of mediums are going to streaming, i.e. the music industry. You'd be hard pressed to find a CD anymore, or a car with a CD player, or anyone who actually has a CD player in their home. DVD is the same thing. Television is the same thing. We consume a lot of our media through streaming. Now, one of the things that these AAA studios run across are budgets. And I know the CD portion or the production portion of this is a very small portion of that budget. I understand that a lot of the other stuff, like graphics or, however they compose, I'm pretty sure that funds is allocated somewhere else. Production is not the highest form of cost in the business, but what I will say is that if you're not spending the money to push out millions of units of physical discs and physical cases that the discs go into, plus your shipping, plus your distribution fees, those things will help in production costs. I'm not saying it's the end all be all to production cost worries when it comes to these big name studios producing these video games, but I will say that cutting down on physical copies and that type of production cost will help. Now, this is one of the negative parts of there being a streaming device, and this is one of the reasons why streaming devices are not more mainstream now, because if you remember, I believe Xbox or Microsoft, whatever you want to call them, they're the same. I believe they wanted to do this with the Xbox One when they first announced it. They wanted to do more of a check-in with your online, and you can't share your games and blah blah blah. They wanted their systems to be heavily tied in with the online play, which most will argue is pretty much what's going on now regardless. But the thing that has stopped a lot of gaming streaming consoles stuff being prominent and these services being prominent is that there are locations outside the US, and I think even some places in the US, I believe, that might have Wi-Fi limitations. Their Wi-Fi isn't as good as other places, and they have caps on their Wi-Fi. So I think I've heard of a place in I think I've heard that in Australia they have a cap like how our cellular plans used to be. So you will pay for X amount of data for X amount of money, and once you exceeded that data, you got charged X amount of money. That, I think I don't remember the actual data being something crazy big, but I will say that if you're capped at that, if you're capped at data in that sense, you're paying for your data. I don't know who will prioritize video games over work study, over information, over social media. I don't know who will prioritize gaming over that. And that's kind of one of the limitations. I mean, and let's not forget that there's places in the world that don't have Wi-Fi at all, that don't have internet at all. So, and I guess some will argue, well, if they don't have internet, whatever, they probably will be playing Xboxes or PlayStations anyway. But what I must say is, I do know an individual in my personal life that does not use the internet. He has the internet only on his phone. He doesn't have the internet in his home. So he doesn't play any of the games that are linked to the internet. And every time I talk to him about a video game that's linked to the internet, he says, well, I can't play that because I don't have the internet. Or he'd be like, well, I wish they'd have done it this way because Microsoft is forcing you to, or PlayStation is forcing you, or they're forcing you to be on the internet. So there are places that don't have internet, and there are people who don't have the internet. My thought about this streaming console, as a man who has a good Wi-Fi setup, I have Ethernet cables running through my house to my systems. I think it'll be great because I think the price of the systems should be cheaper. Not to say that they won't make it cheaper, or not to say that it won't be leaps and bounds different from the version that Microsoft's going to put out with the hardware in it versus the version that's not going to have the hardware. I will hope that to incentivize your consumer base to go out and buy these things, that you will offer these products cheaper than the other devices. Because if it's not a considerable difference, why would you not buy the device with the DVD-ROM or the CD-ROM in it, or the Bluetooth player, or the Bluetooth, or what, we're really gonna be playing Bluetooth, Jason? The Blu-ray player in it. Why not get that if the price is not worthy of you not buying it? So I'm hoping that when Xbox does release whatever the next Xbox is going to be, and their price points release, I'm hoping to see at least $50 to $100 less for the streaming only device. And if not $50 to $100 less, let there be something in that device that makes that price point worth it. Like, give me like a bigger internal memory or something like that, which will make sense, right? If they're going to give you a streaming device, the internal memory on that streaming device, I'm talking about like 2 terabyte, 3 terabyte, 4 terabyte. Like, give me that amount of memory if you're going to give me a streaming only device. And let your other device, the other device that that take discs, let that device have 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes of memory. And if you want to offset the price like that and make them the same price, I'm cool with that too. But let's see how they do it. One of the things that gamers and a lot of people really don't think about is that, and I'm not going to get all hippie on you guys, I promise. I'm not going to get all hippie. I'm not that guy. But it would be crazy to not recognize that when you go paperless, or when you start doing streaming and stuff like that, you inevitably cut down on trash. I'm not saying that this is the biggest point for anybody who wants to buy a system. I understand that. But in the long run, if we are to look at the benefits of streaming, this is definitely one of the benefits of streaming, is that you don't have something that not only is it better for the environment because you're not throwing away a whole bunch of junk. You don't have a whole bunch of junk sitting in your home. You don't have a whole rack of gaming cases and stuff like that. Now, if you're a collector, you actually like those things, I can understand why you wouldn't like it. But for people like me who collect other different things, I don't collect actual game casing. I don't want a whole bunch of that stuff laying around. And I think with streaming, where you're eliminating that disc, that case, you're ultimately, when those things go bad, or when those things are damaged and when you're getting ready to toss them, you're ultimately alleviating, was that the word? You're ultimately getting rid of trash also. Might not be the biggest point, but it's something that you can do. This is a look at streaming consoles. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Like this video and subscribe to my channel. Peace.